Hello, my name is Ken Little, and I host two 24/7 live streaming cams in the state of Alabama. One is a bird feeding station. The other is a garden feeding cam that I use to track ground feeding birds and critters, and the critters are there both day and night. And I've been requested to give a video on the foods that I use at my feeder. And I incorporate a number of different food offerings really to attract a larger variety of birds. I also mix some of the seed to try to execute some of my feeding strategies. Now, I have a video on feeding strategies, and it's about 28 minutes long. It's also on my channel, so you might want to check that out if you're interested in strategies used to try to attract different types of birds. However, I thought I'd show you what foods that I currently have in my garage and some of the auxiliary equipment, such as the feeders I swap out, and the equipment and the tools that help me daily and as the seasons change. So thanks so much for tuning into the channel, and let's get started. Hey guys, as promised, I wanted to kind of go over the feed, give you kind of a general overview of what I keep in my garage here for the feeding of the birds and the critters. As you can see, it's quite a bit. But you know, this is a bird feeding station. Not everybody needs all this to accomplish if you've just got one or two feeders. But I also have, as I mentioned, a 28-minute video that's got the full feeding strategy in more detail. But let's go over kind of what we have here. But I just want you to kind of see the overall view of kind of my little working area under my screen porch here that I walk out to the feeders with. So let's start with the big pet food containers. What's in the pet food containers? These pet food dispensers are great because the tops, you can see, are sealed with the rubber gaskets around, so it keeps the bugs out, and that's important when you're storing any kind of feed that you want to keep bugs out. But what I have in this one here is black oil sunflower seed, and you can see I'm getting kind of low on that, the volume there. But what I have over here that I bought today was my 40-pound bag of Royal Wing black oil sunflower seed. So that's going to go in this container right here, which I dip out of. Black oil sunflower seed is actually just a great all-around bird feed. It's not very expensive. I think that bag's about $18.99 for 40 pounds, so not too bad from Tractor Supply. So I hadn't found really a resource other than Tractor Supply here locally. Now, if you're in more rural communities, you can get food cheaper at the what do they call it? The local co-op, farm co-ops. But ordering online large quantities I have not found to be very effective. So anyway, I use Tractor Supply. It's close to me, and that's where I shop. All right, let's go see what's in this other one. This other one is the mix, and it's in the pet food dispenser too. Like I said, it holds like a 45-pound bag of dog food, maybe 50 pounds. What I've done here is mix black oil sunflower seed, probably 3 parts of that to 1 part of wildlife mix. That's again from Tractor Supply. Okay, I tried half and half, but you really got to consider what animals are you trying to attract, and the deer at first were coming pretty heavy, so I was half and half with sunflower seed and the wildlife mix. But when the deer started falling off, I ended up with a lot of corn in the tray, so I've started now doing about 1 part wildlife mix to about 3 parts of sunflower seed. And I just bought some new, since the deer aren't coming right now, is some farm mix, and I'm gonna start trying to, and that's from Tractor Supply as well. Sorry, it's kind of dark. Royal Wing, but it has a little, it's kind of got cracked corn, but it's got some of the smaller seed, which some of the sparrows and juncos, and that the juncos when they get here will eat, as will probably squirrels and chipmunks. So, but I might start mixing that, one part of that to 3 parts of the black oil sunflower seed. But this is my general mix here that I put in the trays down below. And as you can see, what I do is I end up putting that in a bucket, 5-gallon bucket. And I also I keep 2 scoops in there. One's got some mealworms that I can put in the top tray while I'm out there, and the other is a scoop that and this is just an all-around lifesaver tool here, and keeps my hands off the food. It's just a masonry trowel, a finishing trowel. And you can scrape out corners, and you can move stuff around with the edges. It's just great to stir stuff around, and I use that just practically every trip I'm out there. The gloves, rubber coated, kind of a little bit on both sides. I can keep my hands off the feed, because when you're handling, when you're at the feeders, I mean, it's not so bad handling new feed here, but when you're handling food that's already out there that the birds have been in and moving around, and other critters and whatever, you don't want to have your hands in that, because sometimes they have bird mites, and you just don't want to catch any viruses. Okay, well, I've got a 5-pound bucket. I do not actually carry this out to the feeder. What I do use is the bucket right here, and these buckets are these are gold, and they sell those at Tractor Supply as well. They're flexible. I've got 3 sizes actually. You can see the large sizes right there. I've got the medium somewhere else in my garage, but this is a small bucket. What I do is I put 4 scoops for 2 scoops for each tray of this general mix in the bucket here, and I also put in of course my handy dandy trowel, and the gloves, and the mealworms, and I carry that out to the feeder. And this is I love these buckets. I mean, they nest, which is great because they don't take up too much room in your garage. After you've filled all the dry food, you can bring the bucket back, and I fill it with some water here. You can see I've got a whole contraption of water thing going on there. But you can fill it with water, take it out there, and let's see. When I fill with water, sorry, I'm walking in my garage here. I just want to pick something else up. I've got a brush that I carry out there, hard, stiff bristle brush. See if I can see a little better. It's upside down. For bird bath and feeder brush, and I think I have that listed in my equipment. But I carry that out with water in the bucket, and I clean the ground basin feeder and my copper bowl feeder with that. And the good thing about this flexible bucket, number one, it's lighter than a 5-gallon bucket, but you can also hold it like that, and you've got a pour spout. So super lightweight bucket. They nest, and I can nest all 3 together and put the 5-gallon bucket in the middle of this blue bucket, and it takes up. So in other words, you got 4 buckets in the space of a little over more than 1 5-gallon bucket there. Okay, what do I have here? I don't use a whole lot of this. This is cracked corn. You can see I'm about to the end of that, but I'll sometimes mix that in the bottom, just depending on if I'm trying to lure the doves down to the bottom feeder from the top, because I don't like the doves to get in the top platform tray because they take up too much room. They will just crowd out all the little songbirds. Okay, these 3 containers up here, these are workhorses here. These, I mean, 3-in-1 totes, they hold 5 pounds of food each. So what do we have in those? Okay, this is a mix that I have here. It's called a Total Feed from Tractor Supply, and it's got some black old sunflower seed and the striped sunflower seeds. It's got a little bit of millet in it, got some safflower seed, but it's one of these no waste type feeds. So and I put that in that green wire mesh feeder that I have out on the feeding station. Next, I have one. I'll turn the. See here. I have one that has. This goes in the platform tray, and this is a mix I've come up with that I like. That is black oil sunflower seed that I mix with either peanut suet nuggets or sunflower suet nuggets and dried mealworms. And so you can see that, and that way I can just go out to the feeder with that, and you got a nice pour spout, so you can pour it out concentrated, or you can dip it out of here or pour out of there. These hold 5 pounds each. They are great because I can mix seed in them, and they have enough in it to where I can do 2 or 3 refills. If you've got 1 or 2 feeders, you could just have 2 of these, and that would allow you to just have some kind of quick. In other words, you don't have to refill and carry out a 5-gallon bucket to the thing every time. You just carry out 1 or 2 of these guys and just fill your feeders on the spot. With the spout, there's a lot less spillage. What do I have on this one? Sorry, it's kind of hard to do with one hand. Okay, I have dried mealworms solely in that one. So anyway, that's that. Okay, what I've also picked up at Tractor Supply is this is assorted suet. Now, I'm finding that I kind of like the mealworm, the woodpecker, or the peanut better than the high energy. I just from experience, but they come in a assorted pack here, and there's I think there's something like 10 or something like that. And I put that in the suet cakes in the feeder. Let's see, right here. So it's kind of a double suet cake feeder. There's high energy in the bottom, and that one getting me as many hits as the one up top, which is the woodpecker mix. I've got shelled peanuts here, which I can add to the feed. I've got sunflower chips there that I can use in some mixes. I've got safflower seed. Some birds don't like safflower, and you can kind of target the type birds you're trying to attract with the different types of feed. We've already looked at the wildlife mix. I told you about it. We've got, I buy, since I've got a feeding station, 11 pounds of dried mealworms. Okay, it fills up more than 1 5-gallon bucket. It's about 1 3/4 bucket worth, and it'll last me maybe 3 months. And this is the total feed here that I also had in my feeder all the way to the left, the 3-in-1 tote. That's just, every now and then I'll fill up that 3-in-1 tote out of this bucket. Okay, right here we've got the suet balls, and this comes from obviously I'm using mealworm and nut suet balls. Tracks bluebirds and woodpeckers and such, but I've got those, and I ordered packages of these as well. That's peanut suet nuggets, and I've got some I ordered online too that are peanut suet nuggets, CNS. That's what my links will carry you to, and just more of the same down there. A lot of the suet nuggets. You can see on our feeders that the tufted titmice, even the cardinals eat them, but the red-bellied woodpecker really likes the suet nuggets out of the tray. Here, let me put this back. Okay, this is dog food. You're probably saying, what the heck do you got dog food at a bird feeder for? Well, this is kind of the critters. I'm finishing up the Alpo, so I bought that. Didn't know that I had to buy a nearly 55-pound bag because I have nowhere to store it. But anyway, that's kind of for the critters, the raccoons and that. I mix some of that actually in, not very much, in the feed here that I put in the trays down below. Now I don't know if we can find, here's some right here. So very little in that. Now that I'm using the stump, and the stump is a planter that looks like a log, okay, and it's only about, I think, 7 3/4 inch across. I had to put rocks in the bottom of it because the raccoons would turn it over. And what I do, and it also makes for more fun watching them trying to fish the dog food out amongst the rocks. So it weighs it down, and it provides it means they have to spend more time over, trying to dip in and find it. So that makes for great footage there for the raccoons. And in fact, I just recorded some clips from last night, some raccoon clips and critter clips of them interacting at the feeders. But just wanted you to kind of see what all it takes, some of the tools that I use to conduct the feeding station, a little behind the scenes. So, and thanks so much for tuning in to the station. We really enjoy y'all joining in the chat. And if you got any questions in that, we've got some awesome moderators that do just an unbelievable job answering questions. I couldn't have the channel without them, so be sure and thank them when you see them next. But next up, let me show you what I got in the garage as far as a couple other feeders. And please disregard the mess. My wife would kill me if she knew I was recording this. Anyway, here we go. Okay, here we are in the messy garage here, right around the corner from the water here. I nearly think of myself as Captain Hook. You just cannot have enough, if you've got a bird feeding station, different lengths of hooks that I have here to when I there's a feeder right there. This feeder is a little Suet feeder. You can buy at Walmart, I think, round little cakes that fit on that. But I've got those. I've got a feeder up here and another Suet feeder, single Suet feeder here. Got a squirrel proof feeder there, and some Suet nuggets there, some hardware cloth. Even got some things that you can put corn out for the squirrels on limbs, and that. Got a covered house that it's got 4 holes. It's got holes on either side and either side this way, so they can get in, and it's covered, and that's a great tool to use when you go out of town, and because it's covered, keeps your product, your seed and food product dry, and the birds can this gives them 4 ways to get in. Keeps the big birds out. But this next to it is a hopper feeder, and one of my favorites because you can put a different one type of suet cake here, one type of suet cake here, and you can put product in here, just like mealworms in there. And it actually comes with some glass feed, not glass, but there's plexiglass that fit on either side that protect it. But I found that the lip is a little too shallow when you put that glass. It kind of tilts outward. The bird can hardly land, and he gets confused trying to feed there with the glass up or plexiglass up so close to him. So I usually, when I use this feeder, I usually use it wide open to where they fly through, and that seems to be real effective. Down below I have, this is my huge, when I go out of town feeder, I can put that there if I'm going out for a week or something like that. That holds enough product. That's a Droll Yankee. It's like 30 or 36 inches, I'm not sure. I've got behind that, I've actually got another what do you call it, baffle, squirrel baffle. It's not a clear one like I got and I use for rain protection. That's an extra feeder tray that I use for the ground. This is a Niger seed feeder here, as is that. And this is a little bigger house here that allows you to have covered feeding, and it's got holes, entry ports right on either side, and that some little birds can go over the top of it right there. Another little covered feeding strategy. Another hopper tray, feeder tray, another nectar feeder that I have. And let's see, I do have another feeder tray here, platform tray here on the bottom. It's a little bamboo tray here. And what I just bought a new one, a green one that's kind of a it's a kind of a plastic, recycled plastic type, which is supposed to be resistant to most everything. But I can switch these trays out, and that's useful for when this one needs cleaning. Okay, see, it's got some wear and tear on it, so I have it and the feeder over here. Now the feeder over here, like I said, it's a ground feeder. This one's more or the platform, it's smaller, but I can switch this out for the two that I'll have one out at night, and then I'll switch this out, and that way it's easier just to move some feed out there in the tray already made. This is a monster feeder I got a long time ago. It's got a good number of ports on it. I just don't like it because it doesn't have enough ports for its size, but it'll hold a lot of feed. The problem is with a feeder that big is that your food can spoil unless you've got a lot of traffic coming in, a lot of demand for food, and they're really eating it up. Your food can go bad in a feeder this large before, so you don't hardly ever see it out there. I think this one is what I typically use instead. I mean, I used to use this when I went on vacation, but I think this one's now the feeder of choice. And of course, these are things you can hang off your deck. They connect to your deck. And what got me started feeding was feeding on the deck. And like I said, I think sunflower seed nuggets. I actually use this ladder. I put my 3-in-1 totes on each of the steps, and even the stump on one of the steps, and some food underneath it, so it's acting like a shelving unit to me. But anyway, that's just kind of a quick look at all the different feeding products that we use, and it's a lot to it. It's now to have a station like this, and that's why I kind of like sometimes to put ask for donations out there sometimes, because this costs a lot of money. It's about $250 to $300 a month really to keep this going. That doesn't include the landscaping, the investment in the cameras, and the feeder equipment and the feeder maintenance tools and all that. So, but I just really enjoy feeding the birds, and I really enjoy interacting with you guys and trying to help you with your issues. And the whole purpose of the channel is really for us to come together and not only learn or enjoy the birds, but also learn what the birds are and how to attract them to your yard. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys later.